Chapter 1. The Farewell to Single Life Party. In my past life, I was a top. Graduate from a prestigious university, a prodigy in everyone's eyes. But I spent my whole life as Victoria Hayes's lapdog. She said she didn't want children, so without a second thought, I had a vasectomy. Only later did I discover that her child with Ethan Moore was already old enough to call him Daddy. I gave my heart and soul to the Hayes family, even taking the fall for my father-in-law, Arthur Hayes. But they cut out my tongue and broke my limbs, just to make sure the charges stuck. After squeezing every last drop of value from me, they burned my elderly parents and my younger brother and sister to death. When I opened my eyes again, I was back before my wedding. In this life I will have blood for blood, Chapter 1. Sincere, I'm ready. When are you coming to pick me up? Victoria Hayes's voice came through the phone. I looked around and realized I had been reborn. Reborn to the time just before my marriage to Victoria. In my previous life, it was love at first sight for me. She was the heiress of a wealthy family, beautiful, with a great figure and a gentle personality. My parents, on the other hand, were just ordinary farmers. I had a younger brother and sister at home. Even as a top university graduate, I couldn't hope to marry a high society woman like Victoria. I knew my place and never indulged in such daydreams. But to my surprise, Victoria agreed to date me. Her parents didn't mind that I was a poor boy from a humble background. They even said my parents were incredible for raising such an outstanding son despite their own lack of education. Her friends called me a social climber and warned her not to marry down. But Victoria didn't look down on me. In fact, our marital home and car were all provided by my in-laws. On my wedding day, I felt like the luckiest, happiest man in the world. I swore to make Victoria happy and work hard to be worthy of her. I was completely unaware that I had fallen into their trap, that my fate was to die horribly in prison while my elderly parents and young siblings perished in a fire. I took a deep breath. It felt so good to be alive. I had to cherish this hard-won second chance and would never fall into the Hayes family's trap again. Pick you up? I was still caught between the joy of rebirth and the seething hatred. You didn't forget about our farewell to single life party tonight, did you? In my past life, Victoria had also thrown a party before our wedding, inviting all her best friends, childhood buddies, and classmates. I thought she did it because she loved me and wanted to introduce me to her circle. But when I got there, her friends treated me with cold sarcasm. They looked down their noses at me, mocking me as a poor boy, a peasant dreaming of a princess, telling me to look in the mirror and see if I was worthy. I knew they despised my background, but back then I thought Victoria's love was all that mattered. I vowed to make a name for myself, to become successful enough to be worthy of her. Reborn, I would never subject myself to that humiliation again. I had more important things to do now. I've got too much on my plate lately, I said. I still have work to finish, so I won't be able to make it. You guys have fun. Victoria seemed more than happy with my answer, not upset at all. Okay, work is never ending. Don't push yourself too hard. Love you too, I said with a smile that didn't reach my eyes. After hanging up, I immediately contacted a private investigation agency and paid a hefty sum to have them investigate Victoria. Besides digging into Victoria's life, I also compiled all the shady documents I had previously handled for my father-in-law, saving them as future evidence. By the time I finished, it was late at night. I drove to the Stray Dog, the bar where Victoria was hosting her party. I bribed a waiter, changed into a staff uniform, and walked in carrying a tray of drinks. Lights flickered and shifted in the dim space, weaving a kaleidoscope of colors. The music was blasting, and the atmosphere was electric. No one noticed me. The dance floor and sofas were crowded. Sultry, sexy women and wild, unrestrained men clinked glasses and shouted over the music. Victoria was heavily made up and dressed provocatively, draped over Ethan Moore, like she had no bones, sipping intermittently from a strong cocktail. We had been dating for over half a year, and we had only ever held hands and kissed. I always thought she was a pure, conservative girl, but in private, she was a total party animal. Ethan Moore's father, Richard Moore, was the one who had set Victoria and me up. I wondered what role the Moore family played in all this. Ethan toyed with a strand of Victoria's hair. "Are you really going to marry that social climber? You know our family's situation. Do I have any other choice? He's just a dog my dad picked out. Once he's served his purpose, he'll be kicked to the curb. You can stand apart with him? He worships the ground you walk on, treats you like you're made of glass." "Are you kidding? Why would I miss a lapdog? Getting jealous? Don't be silly. He can't even compare to a single hair on your head. My body is yours, and my heart only has room for you." I was standing right by the coffee table, close enough to hear every word clearly, and I recorded it all. But this piece of evidence was far from enough to bring down the Hayes family. I planted a miniature camera and left. I didn't want to spend another second in that place. My family may be poor, but I was a top university graduate. I had never intended to take shortcuts by marrying up. Even without a rich heiress like Victoria, I could have made a stable life for myself in the city through hard work. Maybe not fabulously wealthy, but a comfortable life was well within reach. In my past life, I foolishly thought I had hit the jackpot, that my ancestors had blessed me. In reality, they plotted against me, used me, destroyed me, and didn't even spare my family. I suppressed the surging hatred in my heart, telling myself over and over, "Sincere, a little impatience can spoil a great plan. A little impatience can spoil a great plan." I not only wanted to avoid repeating my past mistakes, but I also wanted them to pay the price, blood for blood. I wanted them to taste what it's like to be schemed against until death. Victoria didn't come home that night. I didn't care in the slightest. While eating breakfast, I transferred yesterday's surveillance footage to my computer, fast-forwarding through it to find anything useful. Just then my phone rang. It was Victoria. "What is it?" I asked, my tone cold and different from before. Victoria was taken aback for a moment, then said unhappily, "Sincere, what's that supposed to mean? Do I need a reason to call you now? Don't tell me you're angry because I didn't come home last night." "I'm not angry." Victoria took a deep breath, but instead of trying to soothe me, her tone became bossy and spoiled. "My head hurts and I'm starving. Come pick me up right now. I don't have time. Take a cab or call a rideshare." I refused without a second thought. "What's with your attitude? Do you want me to tell my dad?" Victoria was furious, using her father to threaten me. Chapter 2, Evidence Got It. I hung up. I didn't go to pick Victoria up. Instead, I opened the live surveillance feed. The private room was a scene of debauchery. Only Victoria and Ethan were left. Ethan looked at her. "What's going on? Your family's dog isn't coming to get you?" "He wouldn't dare." "Just wait, he's already on his way," Victoria said, putting her phone away. She straightened her messy clothes, sprayed on some perfume to cover the smell, and then took out concealer to apply to her neck, chiding Ethan playfully. "It's all your fault. I told you not to kiss my neck. What if he finds out? Who told you to be so irresistible? So it's my fault now?" My bad, Ethan said, reaching for the concealer in her hand. "Let me help you with that." Victoria dodged his hand. "Stop messing around, you don't know how. Don't waste time." Ethan asked, "Should I leave first?" "Yeah, you go ahead." Ethan kissed Victoria on the cheek, and they nuzzled for a moment before he left. A few minutes later, the surveillance feed on my computer screen froze on the messy, dark red sofa. Victoria had also left the room. About 10 minutes later, my phone rang again. It rang for a long time before I casually answered. "Where are you? Why aren't you here yet?" "I'm freezing to death," Victoria demanded angrily. I played dumb. "Didn't you say you were going to contact your father-in-law? Didn't Arthur arrange for a driver to pick you up? Victoria hung up in a rage. In the past, I was always at her beck and call, waiting on her hand and foot no matter the situation. That would never happen again. I wanted to see if she would tell Arthur Hayes and call off the wedding. For the next 2 days, Victoria didn't contact me, and I certainly didn't contact her. Arthur didn't call me either, so it seemed Victoria hadn't complained to him. But even if she had, Arthur wouldn't let her ruin his plan. The private investigator sent me a pile of photos. I lit a cigarette, took a deep drag, and looked through the photos in the hazy smoke. Victoria had spent the last 2 days with Ethan Moore. Ethan's family was also wealthy and had many business dealings with the Hayes family. They were childhood sweethearts, a perfect match, a union of power. The fact that Victoria still intended to marry me under these circumstances only made it more suspicious. In my past life, I was blinded by love and never realized this marriage was a conspiracy to make me a scapegoat. Reborn, I would never repeat that mistake. I saved all the evidence of Victoria and Ethan's affair, and then went to the Qingyuan Group headquarters. I had majored in finance and was currently employed at the Qingyuan Group. In my past life, Arthur Hayes managed the massive company not just with exceptional skill and courage, but also with ruthless methods. He was later investigated for economic crimes. Victoria cried every day, and I foolishly stood up to take the fall for him. She said it was just a formality and that we would have a child after the whole thing blew over. I believed her. The dim interrogation room, where day and night blurred together with round-the-clock questioning. Overnight, my world had completely crumbled. I still remembered the charges against Arthur Hayes: fraud, market manipulation, insider trading, and tax evasion. Each one was a crime that crossed the line. Now, those unbearable memories became my best guide for collecting evidence of Arthur's illegal activities. Just as I was about to take the elevator to the archives, Victoria showed up. This pampered heiress, who spent her days indulging in pleasure, had never set foot in the company. What strange wind had blown her here today? Victoria put on a gentle, watery expression, as if our argument the other day had never happened. I made you lunch. You haven't eaten yet, have you? I've already eaten. You've never lifted a finger in your life. Don't go to so much trouble making and bringing me food in the future. It breaks my heart, I said, suppressing the disgust I felt for her. I put on a smile, making sure she couldn't see any cracks in my facade. We're getting married in a few days. I need to get as much work done as possible so I can focus on our honeymoon. I've been so busy these past few days I haven't been able to pay attention to you. You're not mad at me, are you? Victoria's suspicions were dispelled. She pouted playfully. You're doing it all for me, for our family. If I were angry, I wouldn't have brought you lunch. It's a shame you've already eaten. I'll save it for dinner. It won't taste as good when it's cold. As long as you made it, it will be delicious no matter what. I played the part of the devoted lapdog, and Victoria was pleased. Well, you get back to work. I'll just say hi to Dad and then head home. Victoria gave me a quick peck on the cheek and walked away in her high heels. The moment she left the building, she eagerly called Ethan Moore. Sincere is the same as ever. He's just been busy with work lately, trying to free up time for our honeymoon. Are you sure? Ethan still sounded a bit wary. Of course. I brought him lunch. He'd already eaten, but he said he'd save it for dinner. That doesn't prove anything. It's better to be safe than sorry. We should still be careful for now. I know. You're such a nag. Don't doubt my charm. I went to the restroom. I threw the lunchbox directly into the trash, wiped the lipstick mark off my face, and went to the archives. The archives were a restricted area. But everyone in the company knew about my engagement to Victoria, although they all called me a lapdog and a slave to the Hayes family. Behind my back, they were still respectful and polite to my face. I entered the archives without any trouble. Following my memories from the interrogations in my past life, I began searching for projects, transactions, and financial statements related to illegal and irregular operations. In addition, I also looked for materials related to transactions between the Qingyuan Group and the Moore Corporation. I didn't know what role the Moore family played in this affair. And so, I stayed in the archives until late at night. By the time I came out, everyone else had already gone home. I ordered some takeout, ate a few bites, and continued gathering materials. The wedding day was getting closer, and I was running out of time 2 days. Later, Victoria called and asked me to go to a movie with her that night. It used to be me who revolved around her, my every thought consumed by her. I hadn't contacted her for days, and now she was reaching out to me. It really was like the saying goes, when someone is unusually attentive, they're either up to no good or have a favor to ask. I was about to use work as an excuse to refuse, but I was afraid she'd get suspicious, so I agreed. To gather evidence, I had been spending every available moment in the archives, wishing I could split every hour in two. That evening, I drove to pick up Victoria and take her to the cinema. She wore a white dress, looking as elegant and pure as a goddess. With her beauty and figure, it was no wonder I had fallen for her at first sight. Victoria stood by the roadside, waiting for me to open the car door for her. I didn't dote on her as I used to. I just rolled down the window and said, "What are you staring at? Get in, I can't park here." Chapter 3. Deception. Victoria suppressed her spoiled brat attitude, forced to open the car door herself, and got in. I drove, my eyes on the road ahead, and said flatly, "Why the sudden invitation to a movie? What do you want to see?" Victoria turned her head to look at me, her gaze scrutinizing. I played dumb, remaining unmoved. After a few seconds, I glanced at her and smiled. "Why are you looking at me like that? It feels like you've become a different person." "You're so cold to me," Victoria said. "Reborn, who would continue to be your lapdog and spoil you? If it weren't for buying time to gather enough evidence, I wouldn't even be here picking you up for a movie." I cursed inwardly, but my face was all smiles. "You're overthinking it. I've been swamped with work at the company. You know, your father has high hopes for me. I can't let him down." At the mention of Arthur Hayes, Victoria's pride swelled. "Of course, Dad really admires you. A son-in-law is half a son. Our family will be counting on you from now on." "Yes, I know. Counting on me, all right. Counting on me to take the fall so you can marry Ethan Moore. You'll dance on the graves of my entire family, continuing your life of luxury and pleasure." When we arrived at the cinema, Victoria linked her arm with mine as we walked inside. As we passed the snack counter, I showed no intention of stopping. Victoria loved the cinema's popcorn. In the past, I would have bought it for her immediately. Victoria kept glancing towards the popcorn stand. Seeing no reaction from me, she said, "That popcorn smells so good." "It does smell good. Take a good whiff." "What did you say?" The heiress stopped in her tracks, staring at me angrily. "What's wrong? What do you think is wrong?" Victoria was about to explode. I played dumb. "I'm asking you because I don't know." Victoria's chest heaved with anger. "What's gotten into you? You haven't contacted me lately, and now you're completely distracted on our movie date. Have you had a change of heart? Do you not love me anymore? Do you not want to marry me?" "No, of course not. I've just been too busy with work, and with the wedding so close, I'm just nervous. I'll go buy you popcorn right now." A bucket of popcorn was enough to placate Victoria. To be precise, it wasn't me who pacified her. It was that she didn't dare to have a falling out with me and ruin the plan for me to be the scapegoat. We were less than halfway through the movie when Victoria's phone rang. I saw the name flashing on the screen, Ethan. It was Ethan Moore. Victoria declined the call, but a second later Ethan called again. "I'm going to take this call," Victoria told me and stepped out. The moment she left, I followed her. "Are you crazy, calling me over and over? If I don't pick up, it means it's not convenient." "Yes, I asked him out to a movie. Is there a problem with that? Listen to yourself. Just because I'm being nice to him means I've fallen for him. Don't be so jealous. He can't even compare to a single hair on your head. He's been cold to me since the party, and I don't want any hitches in the plan. I'm just testing his attitude." Victoria was a true expert at playing coy, as her name suggested. She quickly soothed Ethan Moore. She had never shown this side of herself to me. It was always me being the lapdog, coddling her, putting her on a pedestal. Victoria hung up and turned around, startled to see me. Sincere, what are you doing here? When did you get here? I replied casually, I just came out. The office called about something. Are you done with your call? Victoria breathed a sigh of relief. Yes. So, you have to go back to the office? Yeah. I'll take you home first. I'll make it up to you with a proper movie date when I'm not so busy. No need. I can get a cab myself, Victoria said, putting on a show of being understanding. She pouted her glossy red lips. Don't work too hard. The work will never be done. I need to have a talk with Dad. How can he give you so much to do? It's too much. I smiled. It's fine. It shows that Dad trusts me. Okay, you should get back to the office. All right. Let me know when you get home. Okay. She was faking it, and so was I. I turned and walked away, my face aching from the forced smile. I was losing my patience for dealing with Victoria. On one hand, I wished for more time to gather as much evidence as possible. On the other hand, I wished the wedding day would come sooner to end all this. There was only 1 week until the wedding. A week from now would be Christmas, December 25th, which was a Sunday. Before the wedding, I made time, bought movie tickets, and asked Victoria out on a date. Victoria wore a demure dress, possessing a pure beauty like a water lily. I wore a white shirt, black trousers, and a gray overcoat. She held my arm, and we looked like a picture-perfect couple, attracting many glances along the way. Victoria was in a good mood. What's the occasion? You have time to ask me out today? Even if I have to skip eating, drinking, and sleeping, I have to make time for you. You're just saying that to make me happy. They say men change after marriage. I think you've changed even before we're married. You ungrateful little thing. Who am I working so hard for, if not for you, slaving away for your family? I pinched Victoria's cheek, my heart filled with hatred. I momentarily lost control of my strength. Victoria yelped in pain and slapped my hand away. You hurt me. I realized I had been too rough, but I covered it up well, quickly apologizing. I'm sorry, baby. Let me blow on it. Or how about a kiss? A kiss will make it all better. You're awful. Victoria had to swallow her anger. She didn't dare to lash out. She was such a good actress, and now I was becoming quite the actor myself. I was 6'1", with good looks and a good build. With these qualities, maybe I could even try my luck in Hollywood. I was amused by my own thought. Victoria's beautiful eyes widened. You're still smiling? You're right. I am pretty awful, I said, looking at Victoria and teasing her in a playful tone. Since I'm so awful, do you still want to marry me? I do. What can I say? I love you. If I hadn't died once already, I would have actually believed her nonsense. I know. I promise I won't let you down. I'll be good to you for the rest of my life. I didn't hold back on the sweet talk. It flowed out of me effortlessly as if it cost nothing. However, she had deceived me in my past life. That's how I would deceive her in this one. An eye for an eye. After the movie, I asked Victoria, "Want to come over to my place?" Victoria looked shy. Our wedding is just a couple of days away. Let's wait for the wedding night. I was just testing her. I knew she wouldn't agree. Just as I expected. She truly looked down on me. In my past life, I naively thought she was a pure conservative girl. In reality, she had been with Ethan Moore long ago. I was being thoroughly cuckolded while treating her like a precious treasure, afraid to drop her if I held her, or that she'd melt if she was in my mouth. Thinking about it now, I wanted to slap myself twice across the face. All right, we'll wait. For the wedding night, I said, suppressing the rage in my heart and going along with her. Then I added, let's go, I'll take you home. Chapter 4. The surprise. Victoria lived in a large villa in the prime real estate of the city center. Halfway there, Victoria suddenly asked, "Sincere, we're about to get married. Are you nervous?" Nervous, but more than that, I'm excited and happy. I'm nervous and scared too, Victoria began, setting the stage for what was to come. I knew her goal, but I played along. Scared of what? I don't want to have children. Giving birth is so hard it makes you ugly, and it's dangerous. Can we be child-free, please? Okay, no kids. I'll use protection from now on, I said, grinding my back teeth in secret. Protection isn't 100% safe. Since we've decided to be child-free anyway, could you get a vasectomy? It's the safest, most effective, and most permanent method. You wouldn't want me to take even the slightest risk, would you? In my past life, to prove my love for her, I agreed without hesitation. After that, she wouldn't even let me touch her hand, let alone sleep with me. Only later did I discover that she didn't want to have children. She just didn't want to have my children. Her child with Ethan Moore was already old enough to call him Daddy. This time, I didn't agree immediately. Victoria blinked her clear, enchanting eyes. You're not willing? It's not that. I agreed against my true feelings. Okay, I'll get a vasectomy. Victoria was delighted and gave me a kiss on the cheek. I smiled back. Don't. I'm driving. When we arrived at the Hayes' residence, I didn't get out of the car. It's late. Your parents are probably already asleep. I won't come in. Okay, drive safe on your way back. You too, go on in. The moment Victoria got out of the car, I started the engine and drove off immediately. Unlike before, when I would wait until I saw her room light turn on. In this life, I could be anything, but I would not be a doormat, of course. I had no intention of getting a vasectomy. I returned to my own place, a small, old, two-bedroom apartment in a less than desirable suburb. The mortgage still not paid off. I sat down at the computer again. First, I paid someone to forge a vasectomy certificate. Then I started organizing the photos the private investigator had sent me of Victoria's recent activities. She didn't have a job, had plenty of money and time. Every day was either spent at bars, shopping, getting her nails done, at the spa, or fooling around with friends, especially Ethan Moore. For the next few days, I devoted all my energy to collecting evidence of the illegal and criminal activities of the Qingyuan Group and the Moore Corporation. The day before the wedding, Arthur Hayes' executive assistant suddenly came to find me, telling me to go to the chairman's office. Even though I had died once, Arthur was a powerful man, an old fox. I couldn't help but worry if he had discovered something. I composed myself and walked up to him, saying respectfully, "Chairman Hayes." At the company, I addressed him as Chairman Hayes, just like any other employee. Only in private did I call him Dad. "Come, have a seat." Arthur stood up from his executive chair behind the desk and sat on the sofa in the reception area. I followed him and sat down as well. "I heard from Zhang that you've been working late every night recently. Is the workload too much?" Zhang, or rather Ying Zhang, was my assistant. I didn't know if she was a spy Arthur had placed by my side. She only knew I was working overtime every day, not that I was investigating the company's wrongdoings. It's manageable. I want to get the upcoming work done so I can enjoy the honeymoon with Victoria without any worries, I explained calmly. Work is never ending. Your health is important. Don't overdo it, Arthur said as he poured me a cup of tea. I accepted it with both hands. Thank you, Chairman Hayes. There's no one else here. We're family. Don't be so formal with the Chairman Hayes talk. Okay, thank you, Dad. I readily complied, changing my address immediately. In my past life, I was flattered that Arthur appreciated and valued me so much. I felt I could never repay his kindness, so I poured my heart and soul into caring for Victoria and did my utmost for the Hayes family. It turned out they never even considered me human. Did you call me here for something? Nothing in particular. I just wanted to ask if you were encountering any problems at work. Don't get too tired. If you have any issues, just let me know. We're family. There's no need for formalities. If you wear yourself out, Victoria will have my head. Okay, thank you for your concern, Dad. I'll be careful. I chatted with Arthur for a little longer before returning to my office. In the blink of an eye, it was Christmas Day, the day of my wedding to Victoria. Early in the morning, I sent the fake vasectomy certificate to her. My parents, brother, and sister were not attending our wedding. Victoria said she was afraid they would be tired and wouldn't adapt well to the big city, but the truth was she was ashamed of them. Blinded by love, I was also afraid my parents would cause a scene at the wedding, so I agreed to Victoria's arrangement. Thinking back now, I was such a bastard. Even a dog doesn't despise its own poor home. How could I be ashamed of the parents who gave me life and raised me? If there was anyone in this world who truly wished me well, besides myself, it was only my parents. The wedding was held at a 5-star hotel. The venue was decorated romantically and lavishly with a live band playing. The guests were all rich and powerful, the who's who of North City, a scene of glamour and sophistication. Since my parents weren't there, we skipped the traditional welcoming of the bride and the tea ceremony. While greeting guests, Victoria whispered to me, "I've prepared a surprise for you." "Oh, I've prepared a gift for you too. What is it?" "You'll find out later," I said evasively, then asked, "What surprise did you prepare for me?" "I called your mom a couple of days ago and heard she wasn't feeling well, so I arranged for someone to bring her to North City. The medical care here is much better. We can take our mom for a proper checkup." "Okay, thank you. You're so good to me," I said with a smile that was all surface. In my past life, I naively thought Victoria accepted me and my family. In reality, she brought my parents over so I would have to take care of them, giving her an excuse to avoid sharing a room with me. It was my parents' first time in a big city. They didn't know how to use things like water heaters or gas stoves. During the ring exchange, I saw Ethan Moore sitting in the audience. After we exchanged rings and it was time for the kiss, I kissed Victoria, deeply, as if for revenge, even though I found her repulsive. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Ethan's fists clench. A small thrill of vengeance shot through me, but it was far from enough. Victoria had initially closed her eyes, not expecting a passionate, deep kiss. The plan had been a light peck on the forehead. Her eyes flew open, wide with shock. She tried to push me away, but the difference in strength between a man and a woman was too great. I only let her go when we were both out of breath. Victoria's face was flushed as she caught her breath, looking at me in disbelief. I couldn't tell if it was shyness or anger. I guessed the latter. She didn't want me to touch her, and I didn't care to. I found her dirty, but it was satisfying to annoy Ethan. When it was Arthur Hayes' turn to give his speech, a sudden commotion erupted at the entrance of the banquet hall. Chapter 5. Lost Contact. Everyone turned to look. Several people in uniform walked in. "Mr. Arthur Hayes, we are from the North City Police Department. We are conducting a routine investigation based on a report we received. Please cooperate with our work." Even for Arthur Hayes, a man in his 50s and a person of high standing, this was an unexpected turn of events on his daughter's wedding day. His expression changed drastically. Seeing the sudden darkness on Arthur's face gave me a delayed sense of satisfaction from my revenge, and this was just the beginning. As expected of a man long in a position of power, Arthur's expression quickly returned to normal. He said calmly, "All right, I will go with you and cooperate with your investigation. Today is my daughter's wedding. I hope this doesn't affect her ceremony." Arthur Hayes was taken away. The wedding was thrown into chaos. The remaining ceremonies and toasts were canceled. Only the band continued to play as guests ate. High society is a vast network of interests. Many of the guests present had business dealings with the Qingyuan group. Although some remained seated, their minds were no longer on the wedding feast. They were already secretly making their own plans. Victoria was at a complete loss. She looked at me. How could this happen? Sincere, quick. Think of something I pretended to know nothing and suggested, your childhood friends, classmates, and friends are all powerful and influential. Why don't you ask them for help? At least we need to know what the problem is before we can find the right solution. You're right. I'll go find Ethan Moore right now. With that, she went to find Ethan. I sat at my table and continued to eat. The food and drinks were excellent: Australian lobster, king crab, top shelf vodka, and Penfolds red wine. Ethan was at the next table. Victoria, with red eyes, pleaded, "Ethan, Uncle Moore, please, I beg you to help." My father Ethan immediately replied, "Don't worry, I'll figure something out. Uncle Hayes will be fine." With Ethan's assurance, Victoria's anxious heart finally settled. After the banquet ended and the guests had left, my parents were about to arrive at the North City train station. According to Victoria's plan, she wanted to use my parents to keep me occupied so we couldn't consummate our marriage. Now, I was actually grateful for her arrangement. It saved me the trouble of making up an excuse. "Victoria, Mom," I said, looking at Victoria and Eleanor Hayes. "My parents are about to arrive at the train station. I'm going to pick them up first. Call me any time if you need anything." Victoria and my mother-in-law were not pleased and gave me cold looks. But it was Victoria's idea, not mine, to bring my parents to North City. Though they were unhappy, given the current circumstances, they both wisely held their tongues. I left the hotel and went to the train station. After picking up my parents, I first took them to get something to eat, then settled them into my apartment. They urged me to go and be with Victoria, but I didn't move. My parents looked at me. "What's wrong? Did you two have a fight?" Not seeing their daughter-in-law, the old couple couldn't help but worry. "No. You just got here. I'm staying with you tonight." My mom said, "How can you do that? Today is your wedding day, your wedding night. It's not right to leave Victoria alone. Go be with her. Your father and I are grown-ups. We don't need you to take care of us." I explained everything to my parents in detail, from toothpaste and toothbrushes, towels and bath towels, to how to use the water heater before I left. I didn't go to our marital home. I went directly to Victoria's house. The nearly 10,000 square foot, 3-story villa was brightly lit. A servant saw me and opened the door. Victoria and Eleanor Hayes were sitting on the sofa, their expressions grave. Seeing me arrive, Eleanor quickly greeted me warmly. "Sincere, you're here. Come in, sit down. Have you had dinner?" I had a bite with my parents. "Have you two eaten?" Victoria said unhappily. "My dad's been arrested. You think we have an appetite for food like you do?" I didn't say anything, but my face instantly darkened. The Hayes family was about to fall. Who was going to kiss your feet now? Victoria probably didn't expect me to scowl at her and was momentarily stunned. Eleanor was more composed. She quickly said, "You child, you can't take your frustration out on Sincere no matter how anxious you are. Sincere, don't mind her. We've spoiled her. Please be patient with her." My expression softened slightly. "I know I will." Eleanor then said, "We've contacted everyone we can, but we haven't heard anything. Sincere, you hold an important position at Qingyuan, and you deal with more people and matters than we do. Do you think you could find a way to get some information, pull some strings? We'll do anything, spend any amount of money, as long as it helps your dad. This family couldn't function without Arthur Hayes. Arthur was the backbone of this family. If something happened to him, Qingyuan would be finished, and so would this family. All right, I'll do my best. I'll go right now and try to find some information, see if I can find someone or some way to help Dad." "Okay, we're counting on you," Eleanor said gratefully, then instructed Victoria, "Victoria, walk Sincere out." I walked out of the villa with Victoria. Before I got in the car, Victoria kissed me. She was a good kisser, clearly experienced. I once thought our love was a gift from heaven. I didn't even need her to say "I love you." I would fill in the blanks myself. After a long moment, Victoria pulled back slightly, her reddened eyes looking at me, pitiful and moving. What a shame. I had long stopped seeing Victoria as a person. She couldn't fool me. "I'm leaving. Don't worry too much. Take care of yourself and Mom." "Okay, I'll be waiting for your good news." Worried my parents would ask too many questions, I didn't go back to my apartment. Instead, I checked into a room at a roadside motel. At the motel, I took a shower and fell asleep immediately. After a long day, I slept soundly without even a dream. Victoria, however, was awake all night. She sent me messages, which I didn't reply to. Just before dawn, she called me, but I didn't answer. Victoria tossed and turned, unable to rest. It wasn't until after 1 in the afternoon that I called her back. As soon as she answered, she demanded furiously, sincere, "What is wrong with you? You don't reply to my messages. You don't answer my calls. How is my dad's situation being handled?" I rattled off a lie without a second thought. I was drinking with some people last night, acting like a total suck-up, and got drunk. I just woke up. At a time like this, a lot of people are trying to steer clear. This isn't like going to the market where you can just buy what you need with money. Didn't you ask Ethan Moore for help too? His family is also wealthy. They must have more connections and resources than I do. Any progress or news from his side? I deliberately brought up Ethan, pretending to be concerned but actually probing. At the mention of his name, Victoria got even angrier. "Don't talk to me about him. There's been no progress, no news at all. Today he's completely unreachable. You're better than him. At least you called me back after sobering up." Unreachable? I had to restrain myself from laughing out loud with glee. Chapter 6. A fallen phoenix is no match for a chicken. "Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I have a bad feeling," Victoria said. "The Hayes and Moore families have a lot of business dealings. Could the Moores be under investigation too?" I said nonchalantly. "Richard Moore was taken in today. It would be hard for him not to fall for my trick and suspect that Arthur Hayes had sold him out. Richard Moore was an old fox himself. He wouldn't be a fool and let himself be sacrificed. Now I was just waiting to see Arthur and Richard tear each other apart. Later I had someone look into it, and it was just as I had expected. Following the principle of better you die than I, and leniency for those who confess, Richard Moore spilled everything he knew about Arthur Hayes. When a wall is about to collapse, everyone gives it a shove. The crimes Arthur had committed were enough to keep him in prison for the rest of his life. The Qingyuan Group's empire crumbled in an instant. It quickly fell into a financial crisis, unable to pay its debts. The Hayes family's assets were all seized by the bank, waiting to be auctioned off. The Moore family was also dragged down, although not as severely as the Hayes family. Ethan Moore was like a clay idol crossing a river he could barely save himself. He came to resent Victoria. If it weren't for Arthur Hayes, his family wouldn't have ended up in this state. Victoria looked much more haggard. She and Eleanor rented an apartment. Going from a life of lavish spending to pinching pennies was a difficult adjustment. It's easy to go from frugal to lavish, but hard to go from lavish to frugal. Victoria still expected me to continue being her devoted lapdog, serving her. In the past, I called her every day, cooked her favorite meals, reminded her to dress warmly when it got cold, and to take an umbrella when it rained. Anyone would have said I was blinded by love. Back then, I loved Victoria so much that I lost myself. Now, I didn't call her, let alone cook for her or remind her about the weather. Instead, it was Victoria who started clinging to me. She called me, asking about my well-being with feigned concern. The pampered heiress who had never lifted a finger in her life started learning to buy groceries and cook for me and my parents, putting on an act of a gentle and virtuous wife. I had no time to deal with her for the moment. Without the status of a Hayes family son-in-law, I had to find a new job. The job market was tough, but with my skills, I quickly found a new position. I could support myself, my parents, and my siblings without any problem. I came from the countryside. I could endure hardship and wasn't pretentious. A person should be adaptable, able to reach for the stars or get their hands dirty in the mud. One evening after work, Victoria was at my place. She used to despise my small old apartment, but now she visited more frequently than anyone. If it weren't a 2-bedroom apartment with my parents living here, she would have moved in without a second thought. I wasn't softened by Victoria's change in behavior. She was just a fallen phoenix, bowing to reality. If the Hayes family were still at its peak, and she was still the high and mighty heiress, then I would still be a dog, just like in my previous life, eventually to be thrown out as a sacrifice. They had harmed me, harmed my entire family. This grudge couldn't be erased by her cooking a few meals or washing a few clothes. Since I had just started at a new company, there was a lot to do. After a few busy days of getting used to the new environment and getting the hang of my work, I came home early one day. Victoria was in the kitchen with my mom, cooking. Anyone who didn't know better would think she was the most virtuous daughter-in-law. Seeing me return, Victoria immediately dropped what she was doing, wiped her hands, and came to greet me. "Sincere, you're home from work." She reached for my laptop bag, but I sidestepped her outstretched hand. "We need to talk," I said flatly. "Talk about what? Let's talk outside." I put down my laptop bag, turned, and walked out. Victoria quickly followed. My apartment was on the 4th floor of a walk-up building. Once we were outside the building, I finally spoke. "Victoria, let's break up." "What do you mean by that?" Victoria's eyes widened in disbelief. "Is it because my family went bankrupt?" "It's not because your family went bankrupt. It's because I don't want to waste any more time on you. You don't love me at all. You're only being nice to me because your family is broke. Did you put on an act of deep affection for so long that you started to believe it yourself? What are you talking about? You think I'm not sincere with you? It's not what I think, it's a fact." I took out my phone and played a video from the party. In the video, Ethan Moore was toying with Victoria's hair. "Are you really going to marry that social climber? You know our family's situation. Do I have any other choice? He's just a dog my dad picked out. Once he's served his purpose, he'll be kicked to the curb. You can stand apart with him? He worships the ground you walk on, treats you like you're made of glass." "Are you kidding? Why would I miss a lapdog? Getting jealous? Don't be silly. He can't even compare to a single hair on your head. My body is yours, and my heart only has room for you." When Victoria saw the video, her pupils shrank, and her face visibly turned pale. I didn't want to waste any more time with her. I turned to go home, but Victoria snapped back to reality and grabbed my arm. My face was cold as I said in a low voice, "Miss Hayes, acting like this will only make me look down on you more. I'm sorry, Sincere. Please give me another chance," Victoria begged, tears streaming down her face. I looked at the woman I once loved so deeply, feeling nothing. The hatred from my past life couldn't be erased by a simple "I'm sorry" and a few tears. I had only gone after Arthur Hayes, not her or Eleanor. That was already showing mercy. First, they were no threat. Second, making them live this hand-to-mouth precarious life was a better revenge than killing them. Death was too easy for them. Dying is easy, living is the hardest part. Tomorrow morning at 9, let's meet at City Hall. After we get the divorce papers, I hope you'll never appear in front of me again. I don't want to see you anymore. No, I won't divorce you. Victoria clung to me desperately. Her actions didn't move me at all. They only increased my disgust. I remembered a saying, though I couldn't recall who said it. When a man stops loving you, everything you do is wrong. Your crying is wrong. Your silence is wrong. Your living and breathing are wrong. And even your death is wrong. That's how I felt about Victoria now. No, I won't divorce you. You loved me so much. I'll never do it again. I'll change, Victoria promised through her tears, on the verge of making a solemn vow. The next second, I heard her say, "I swear your oaths are useless. It's precisely because I loved you so much that I can't forgive you. Don't waste your efforts. No matter what you say or do, it's over between us. You should go." "Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, City Hall for the divorce proceedings," I said, my eyes narrowing in a threat. "If you don't show up, I can't guarantee what I might do." "What do you mean by that?" Miss Hayes, you've been sheltered for too long. Is your head filled with nothing but crap? Blinded by love, I used to think she was beautiful, pure, and adorable. Now I only found her cheap and disgustingly stupid. Chapter 7. Divorce. Don't think I don't know why you wanted to marry me. Wasn't it just to push me out as a scapegoat? I laid everything on the table. Who do you think reported Arthur Hayes for his illegal activities? It was you? Victoria's pupils contracted sharply. Yes, it was me. It seems you're not completely hopeless, I said, patting her cheek. Go home. Don't forget to be at City Hall on time tomorrow. It's true that I had an affair with Ethan Moore, but my father never intended for you to be a scapegoat. Believe me, he really didn't, Victoria insisted. If I hadn't died once, I would have believed her, but I had died once. A woman's words are deceitful lies. I stopped seeing you as a person long ago. You can't fool me, I sneered. I won't be with you, and I certainly won't save your father. On the contrary, I can't wait for your father to meet his maker. Victoria's eyes were bloodshot. She raised her right hand to slap me, but fortunately I was quick enough to grab her wrist. She raised her left hand, and I caught that one too, holding both her slender wrists. Victoria gritted her teeth, her chest heaving with rage. I looked down at her. Why do you think I didn't contact you for those few days? I was busy, it's true, but not busy slaving away for your family. I was busy collecting evidence. You reported my father for his crimes? Yes, I reported him, I admitted without hesitation. If he hadn't done anything wrong, I wouldn't have had any evidence to report. People die for wealth, just as birds die for food. If I had done nothing, I would be the one in prison right now. Why would you do this to me? What good does it do you? Didn't you love me so much you swore you would die for me? Yes, I was blind and love-struck before, but not anymore. I didn't want to waste any more time with her. At this point, there was nothing left to say. Bring your documents tomorrow. City Hall, 9 o'clock. If you don't show up, I'll take it out on your father. You wouldn't dare, I said lightly. You can try me. Have you been to visit him? What do you mean by that? Victoria asked me this again. See you tomorrow at 9 in the morning. I didn't waste any more time with her. I threw that sentence at her and went upstairs. I knew Victoria wouldn't dare to test me after all. Her father's situation was dire. She was so angry she could have disowned her own family, but she had to endure it. Without Arthur Hayes' protection, and with Ethan Moore unable to even save himself, she was helpless. Everyone kicks a man when he's down. When the Hayes family was prosperous, everyone scrambled to get close to them, to curry favor. Now that the family was in trouble, those people were keeping their distance. That was the best-case scenario. Some even kicked them while they were down, secretly taking advantage of the situation to profit. After all, the pie in North City was only so big. Where there was cooperation, there was also competition. Victoria, the pampered heiress, had fallen from the clouds into the dust, experiencing the coldness of human relationships and the true nature of humanity. When I got home, my mom was alone in the kitchen preparing dinner. I was about to go to my room to change when my parents called me to stop. Sincere, where's Victoria? Why didn't she come back with you? My mom asked, wiping her hands on her apron as she came out of the kitchen. My dad also looked at me. Her eyes have been red these past few days. It looks like she's been crying. Did you two have a fight? Before I could speak, my mom added, You just got married. How could you be fighting already? Victoria's family is well off. She's been pampered since she was a child. She might have a bit of a temper. You're a man. You should be more patient with her. My parents had been farmers their whole lives and didn't follow the news. They didn't know about the Hayes family's bankruptcy, and I couldn't tell them I was reborn. Even if I did, they wouldn't believe me. They'd probably think I was possessed. After some thought, I decided it was best to be upfront with my parents and tell them I was divorcing Victoria. They would find out sooner or later. We didn't fight. We're getting a divorce tomorrow. From now on, she's not my wife, and she's not your daughter-in-law. Don't mention her again. What did you say? My parents were traditional, and they stared at me with wide, shocked eyes upon hearing my words. Why the sudden divorce out of nowhere? We're not compatible. Don't worry, I'll handle it. I had always made my own decisions, especially after getting into a top university. My parents not only didn't interfere, but they also listened to me on important matters. Seeing me say this, they didn't press the issue further. The next day, as I was eating breakfast, the doorbell rang. My mom opened the door to see Victoria and Eleanor standing outside. "Victoria, my dear-in-law, what brings you here?" My mom was stunned for a moment, then became a little flustered, but still warmly invited them in. "Please, come in. Have you had breakfast?" Eleanor and Victoria stepped inside. Eleanor said, "I'll be direct. I won't beat around the bush. Why do I hear from Victoria that Sincere wants to divorce her? Do you two know about this?" My mom nodded guiltily. "We know. What's wrong? What's wrong?" Eleanor's face suddenly darkened. "When the Hayes family was at its peak, your son was chasing after my daughter. Now that the Hayes family is in trouble, just a few days after the wedding, your son wants a divorce. How can a person be like that?" Eleanor, with her exquisite makeup, high heels, and a Hermes bag, was turning the tables, questioning my parents. My parents had no idea about the situation between me, Victoria, and the Hayes family, and they were both stunned. They subconsciously thought what Eleanor said was true and turned to look at me. "Sincere, is what your mother-in-law said true?" I calmly put down my chopsticks, took a napkin to wipe my mouth, and then spoke. A single light sentence. "Of course not. Don't listen to her crap. What did you say?" Hearing my words, Eleanor was like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. She completely lost her temper, pointing a finger at my nose and sputtering, "How dare you speak like that, and you call yourself a highly educated person?" I stood up and walked over to Eleanor. At 6'1", I was a head taller than her. I looked down at her. "Did Victoria not tell you why I'm divorcing her?" "Tell me what?" "You're a heartless, ungrateful man, a wolf in sheep's clothing. It seems Victoria didn't tell you. No matter. I have plenty of time today. I don't mind saying it again," I said as I reached for my phone. Victoria's eyes were red and swollen like walnuts. She stepped forward and pressed her hand on mine, stopping me from taking out my phone. "Sincere, do you have to be like this? Everyone makes mistakes. I didn't do anything to cause you any real harm. Can't you forgive me and give me another chance? We were together for over half a year. Were your feelings for me all fake? Don't you like children? I'll have as many as you want." Chapter 8. Accepting the consequences you're not worthy. What makes you think I'd want an unclean woman? Sincere Victoria, having humbled herself to no avail, finally erupted, in a fit of rage and shame when I refused to give her any face. She was a spoiled heiress after all, unaccustomed to bowing her head to anyone. "What do you mean by that?" Eleanor demanded of me, then turned to her daughter. "Victoria, are you two hiding something from me? I'm divorcing her not because the Hayes family went bankrupt, but because she was messing around with Ethan Moore, cheating on me. I'm a man. No one could just pretend nothing happened. You knew about me and him all along. Why did you wait until after the wedding to bring up divorce? And it was you who reported my father and got him arrested." Victoria, seeing that I was impervious to both soft and hard tactics, finally dropped all pretense. I curled my lip into a smirk. "You can eat whatever you want, but you can't just say whatever you want. Do you have any proof?" Victoria was speechless. She hadn't slept well for days, and her face was pale. Even the thickest foundation couldn't hide the dark circles under her eyes. A storm of emotions twisted her already haggard face into something almost grotesque and distorted. I used to think she was a fairy descended to earth. Now, with the spell broken, I saw her as nothing special. I couldn't fathom how I had fallen for her at first sight back then. It was as if I had been cursed. After a few seconds, Victoria said, unwilling to give up, "I may not have proof, but what goes around comes around. You'll get what you deserve sooner or later. What I deserve. I was a man who had already died once. Everything I was doing now was simply for self-preservation. I didn't think I would face retribution. On the contrary, I believed this was their retribution. Victoria continued, I'm not divorcing you. I'm going to hold on to my status as your legal wife and haunt you for the rest of your life. Suit yourself. Let's see whose life is longer, mine or your father's. Are you threatening me? Very good. You're getting smarter. You can read between the lines now. Saves me the trouble of explaining, I said. You. Victoria was about to explode with anger, her chest heaving violently, yet she was powerless against me. Once I was the one who couldn't speak my grievances. Now it was her turn to be suffocated by frustration. My parents and Eleanor stood by, completely bewildered. However, Eleanor, being a wealthy socialite, understood more than my parents did. I glanced at my watch. It's a good time to go to City Hall now. Are you coming with me, or would you rather visit your father in prison and then contact me? Let me be clear, different choices lead to different outcomes. Weigh your options carefully, as long as you can bear the consequences. Eleanor was no fool. She immediately asked, What have you done to Arthur? He always appreciated you. He gave you a great opportunity. How could you be so heartless and ungrateful? Appreciated me? A great opportunity? Hearing those words, I found it amusing, and I actually laughed. Don't think I don't know what you were all planning. You deceived me, used me, all to make me willingly take the fall. What fall? Deceive you, use you. Have you been listening to some malicious gossip? Victoria is our only daughter. A son-in-law is half a son. The family business would have all been yours and Victoria's in the future. Enough. I don't have time to listen to your excuses. If you want a divorce, let's go to City Hall now. If you want to drag this out, you can leave, I said coldly, showing them the door. My parents stood by, not daring to speak. They had no idea what was going on, and they had always respected my decisions. So even though they were curious and wanted to ask me questions or say something, they held back. Eleanor looked at Victoria. Victoria's face was contorted with anger, her complexion deathly pale. Her eyes welled with tears, a mixture of terror and hatred. I'm not getting a divorce. I have nothing left anyway. I'll just drag you down with me with that. She and Eleanor left. I didn't know what the mother and daughter talked about, but Victoria had no right to hate me. She had never treated me as a human being. Now, I was just returning the favor. A little over 2 hours later, Victoria and Eleanor appeared at the North City prison to visit Arthur Hayes. I knew about it immediately. I had paid someone to bribe Arthur's cellmates, telling them to beat him to an inch of his life, but to keep him alive. Once he healed, they were to do it again. I didn't want Arthur's life. Death was too boring, too easy for him. I hadn't laid a hand on Victoria or Eleanor. Unlike Arthur in my past life, I wasn't ruthless enough to wipe out his entire family. So all the debts had to be settled on him alone. At first, Victoria and Eleanor weren't allowed to see Arthur. They had to pay a hefty price to finally get a visit. Seeing Arthur's bruised and swollen face, they felt as if they had been plunged into an icy cellar. Eleanor was the first to recover. She trembled as she reached out to touch Arthur's face, which was so swollen it looked like a pig's head, completely unrecognizable. The moment she touched him, Arthur winced in pain, sucking in a sharp breath. How did this happen? Who beat you like this? Is there no law here, Daddy? Eleanor and Victoria burst into tears. Arthur looked at his wife and daughter and spoke with difficulty. Where's Sincere? Why isn't he with you? Victoria cried even harder. Don't mention him. He admitted it was him who reported you. If you walk by the river often enough, you're bound to get your shoes wet. If you walk down a dark path too many times, you're bound to see a ghost. They had treated Sincere like a dog, and now he had bitten back. Arthur was calm, his face ashen. He really is smart. It seems he figured out our plan. But how did he find out? When did he find out? Everything had been done so secretively. Victoria was a mess of tears. The house is on fire, and you're still complimenting him? He doesn't love me at all. It was all an act. He's cold, cruel, and inhuman. He's not even a person As Victoria cried, she started cursing him. Arthur had navigated the business world for years. He had seen all kinds of people. He was much more composed than Victoria, showing little emotional turmoil. He had lost the bet, and he had to accept it. He just never thought he would be defeated by Sincere Clark. To have fallen to this state, he didn't know whether to say he had chosen the right man back then, or to lament that the young are to be respected, that the new generation always surpasses the old. That's enough. It's pointless to talk about this now, Arthur interrupted Victoria. Things are different now. You need to rein in your spoiled attitude. Sincere probably doesn't want to be with you anymore. Yes, he wants to divorce me. I didn't agree. I won't let him off that easily. I'll hold on to my title as his wife and drag this out with him. Since he wants a divorce, he must be determined. You should divorce him. You're still young. You should settle down with Ethan soon. With the Moore family connection and Ethan, he wasn't too worried about his wife and daughter. At the mention of Ethan, Victoria's anger flared. Don't talk to me about him, Chapter 9. I once loved her deeply. What's wrong? Arthur, now imprisoned, was completely cut off from the outside world. The day after you were taken away, Richard Moore was also taken. The Moore family can barely save themselves now. We can't count on Ethan at all. As for all those who used to fawn over our family, now they're all avoiding us. It's a blessing if they don't kick us while we're down or make sarcastic remarks. After this, I've finally seen the reality of things, the wickedness of human nature. Apart from yourself and your parents, you can't rely on anyone else. How could this happen? Arthur's face turned pale. Then you and Ethan, he suspects you're the one who sold out his family. They must have spilled everything, pinning all the blame on you. Arthur's face was ashen. His last hope was extinguished, and he nearly couldn't catch his breath. Dad Arthur from behind the bars, Victoria and Eleanor cried out in unison. Fortunately, Arthur didn't faint from the shock. He gasped for air, trying to calm his heart and emotions. Arthur let out a dry, mirthless chuckle. Dad. Victoria's tears started falling again. Her father was in prison. Qingyuan was being squeezed out of business, and had gone bankrupt, and all their family assets were seized. The sky had fallen for the Hayes family, and she didn't know what to do. Don't cry, Victoria, don't cry, Arthur said, his heart in turmoil and pain, but he had to pretend to be calm. Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. I regret not raising you to be my successor. It's my own fault for not being ambitious enough, for only knowing how to eat, drink, and play. She was no longer the pampered heiress everyone adored. She had realized her own shortcomings. At this point, what can I do? What should I do? After a few seconds, Arthur finally spoke. You should divorce Sincere. Divorce? I don't want to, Victoria said immediately. You won't gain anything by not divorcing him. You might as well start over while you're still young. How do I start over? Victoria was lost, like a lone boat on a vast ocean. I knew everything about her and Eleanor's meeting with Arthur. Victoria didn't contact me that day. I wasn't in a hurry. I had all the time in the world to play this game with her. That evening, after work, I was watching TV with my parents when my phone suddenly rang. I picked it up and saw the number flashing on the screen. I didn't answer. A few seconds later, Victoria called again. My mom glanced at me. Why aren't you answering? Is it Victoria? You should talk things out properly. Don't keep saying you're getting a divorce. It's not good. My parents were old-fashioned. They thought divorce was a bad thing, and still hoped Victoria and I could work things out. I understood them, but I couldn't do as they wished. Victoria's persistence reminded me of my own lapdog days in my past life. I answered the call and walked to my room. Closing the door, I shut out the sound of the TV from the living room. What is it? I asked coldly. Sincere, I'm downstairs. Can you come down for a minute? It was the dead of winter. I could hear Victoria's teeth chattering. I didn't want her to come up and have my parents interfere, so I grabbed my down jacket, put it on, and went downstairs. As soon as I stepped out of the building, I saw Victoria standing under a streetlight. She was wearing a wool coat and a dress, looking a bit thin. She had lost a lot of weight in just a few days and looked haggard, no longer the bright, radiant person she used to be. What is it? I walked up to her. Sincere, I have nothing left. You're all I have now. Can we not get a divorce? Didn't you love me so much? I know I was wrong. I was deceived by Ethan Moore. I promise I'll be completely devoted to you from now on. I'll give you a son and a daughter, be a good wife and mother, respect your parents, and live a good life with you. Can we please not get a divorce? Victoria begged me with red eyes, looking utterly pitiful. I remained unmoved. Her tears and pleas didn't soften my heart. In my past life, my family had died so tragically. I still remembered the fire, the screams of my parents and siblings, as if it were yesterday. Victoria, affection that comes too late is cheaper than grass. Don't contact me again, except for the divorce. Every time I see you, my hatred for you all grows. I've already done you a favor by not taking your lives. Victoria screamed hysterically. You might as well just kill me. A fallen phoenix is no match for a chicken. Living was too hard. It was better to just die and be done with it. But she didn't have the courage to kill herself. Victoria's eyes widened. I reached out and pinched her chin. You want to die? Dying is so boring. After all, I did love you deeply once. How could I bear to let you die? Victoria gritted her teeth, her voice hysterical. My father is already in prison. Our family is finished. Why are you still pushing me? A marriage certificate won't give you any security. Dragging this out for the rest of your life is what will truly drive you to your death. I didn't understand Victoria's logic. I wasn't some rich second or third generation heir, nor did I have parents or ancestors in high government positions. I was just an ordinary person. At this point, if we stayed together, she wouldn't gain anything other than the title of my legal wife. In the past, I was the one marrying up. Now, a fallen phoenix is no match for a chicken. How the tables have turned. I went to the prison to visit my father, Victoria said suddenly. I said nothing, just looked at her coldly. Victoria continued, My dad was beaten up. He's never been in such a state. You reported my family in the Moors. You're capable, you're ruthless. I can divorce you, but I have one condition. A condition? I couldn't help but sneer. What right do you have? What leverage do you have to negotiate with me? Sincere, Victoria shrieked, her voice cracking. Do you have to push me to a dead end? I've left you a way out. Compared to what you all did to me, to my family, this is nothing, I said coldly, looking down at Victoria, at her haggard face. The face I once found so beautiful was just beauty in the eye of the beholder. Now I only saw it as ugly and twisted. What did we do to you? To your family? You're just making excuses for your own shameless, heartless behavior. Victoria didn't know. I was reborn, so she naturally didn't know what I had been through in my previous life. There was no need for me to tell her. She wouldn't believe me anyway. Think what you want, say what you want, I said, unmoved, my heart a calm sea. If there's nothing else, you can go. I don't have time to waste on you. I used to revolve around her every day. Now, I didn't want to waste a single second on her. Seeing how heartless and unfeeling I was, Victoria's face turned ashen with despair. I turned to go upstairs. It was freezing cold. Suddenly I heard Victoria's hoarse voice from behind me. Wait. I stopped and turned to look at her. I'll divorce you. Tomorrow morning at 9. Good. You'd better keep your word. I turned and went upstairs. When I got home, my parents both looked at me. Chapter 10, the finale. They looked around but didn't see Victoria. My mom asked, Where's Victoria? Didn't she come up with you? Mom, we're getting a divorce. Why would she come to my house? From now on, we're strangers. Please don't call her that anymore. Everything was fine before. Why the sudden divorce? Is it because the Hayes family went bankrupt? You're not the type to covet wealth and glory. It's not because her family went bankrupt. I was with her because I genuinely liked her, not for her family's money or power. The truth is, Victoria doesn't love me. She was messing around with another man, cheating on me. I only just found out. Anyway, we're getting a divorce. Please don't have any contact with her in the future. My mom was about to say something else, but my dad stopped her. That's enough. Our son has had a long day at work. Let him get some rest. He has to work tomorrow. Okay, my mom relented. It's getting late. You should go to bed. What do you want for breakfast tomorrow? You don't need to make me breakfast. I'll grab something on the way. I didn't have to rush to work tomorrow. I had to go to City Hall first to get the divorce papers finalized. The food you buy outside is unhealthy and expensive. It's better to make it at home. Then I'll just have a bowl of porridge and 2 boiled eggs at home. As soon as I went to my room, my parents, afraid of disturbing me, turned off the TV and went to their room as well. The next day, when I woke up, my mom had already made breakfast. I had a bowl of porridge and 2 boiled eggs, then drove to City Hall. It wasn't quite 9 yet. I was a little early. Just before 9, Victoria finally arrived. She had taken a taxi and was wearing sunglasses. Getting a divorce was as easy as getting a marriage license. We quickly got 2 new red booklets. This time, they were divorce certificates. Victoria held her divorce certificate and looked at me with resentful eyes. Congratulations. You finally got rid of me just as you wished. I looked at her. You don't have to hate me so much. I did love you deeply once. You'll never know the price I paid. Victoria didn't believe me, but that didn't matter. After leaving City Hall, I drove away. Victoria was still standing there, waiting for a taxi, and so we ended. Or so I thought. I went to the office. Just as I finished some work, my phone rang. It was my dad. I answered immediately. What's wrong, Dad? Come back right now. My dad's voice was frantic. Don't panic. What happened? I said, grabbing my coat and heading for the door. Victoria's threatening to jump off the roof. We can't talk her down. You have to come and persuade her. Jump off the roof? I frowned so hard I could have crushed a fly. Where are you now? Right here in the apartment complex. Stop wasting time and get over here. I'm on my way back. Did Victoria go to our apartment? I rushed out of the office, pressing the elevator button, talking on the phone while I waited. She didn't come to our place. She went straight to the roof of our building. The whole complex is here, and the police have arrived. I rushed back as fast as I could. It was a cold, overcast day, and the wind on the rooftop was strong. Victoria, what are you doing? I asked her coldly. The police, my parents, everyone was looking at me. A police officer said, "What's your relationship to her? You should try to talk to her. She's so young, she shouldn't throw her life away." Ex-husband. The police officer was speechless. The wind whipped Victoria's hair around her face. She looked at me. Sincere, I thought you wouldn't even come back. You do still care, don't you? I couldn't help but laugh grimly. You put on this whole show just to see if I would come? Of course not. I have nothing left. I can't live like this for another day. I'll haunt you even in death. If I jump from here, your apartment complex will be on the news. The reputation and property values will plummet, especially for your building. Who would dare to buy a place where someone has died? I don't care what other people think. I'm a materialist. If you're just doing this to spite me, you really don't need to throw your life away. But you can't talk someone out of dying if their mind is made up. I've said my piece. If you want to die, I won't stop you. Your family owes mine 4 lives. The police couldn't believe I wasn't only not helping but was fanning the flames. Even if she's your ex-wife, you can't talk like that. It's a human life. You should part on good terms. Why aren't you helping to persuade her? My mom also said, Sincere, say something nice. Maybe she'll listen to you. She's not a 3-year-old child, and I don't have a savior complex. I respect her choices and her destiny. With that, I turned and walked away. I hadn't pushed her to the absolute brink, but I had no intention of talking her down. Victoria kept her eyes on me, not noticing the police officer approaching her from another direction. Just as she was about to jump, the officer lunged forward and grabbed her. Her body dangled in mid-air, her arm held tightly by the officer. In the end, she didn't die. She was saved by the police. I don't know if it was because of that jump, because she had, in a way, experienced death. But I never saw her again, nor did I deliberately try to find out what happened to her. The last time I saw Victoria was 2 years later. I was accompanying my wife to the hospital for a prenatal checkup, and I unexpectedly ran into her there. She had changed a lot. She wore heavy makeup and had a certain seductive air about her. Seeing me looking at someone else, my wife, Grace Clark, asked gently, "What are you looking at? Do you know her?" "No." I shook my head, averting my gaze. I was a little afraid she would have a breakdown, say something reckless, and affect the relationship between Grace and me. If that happened, the evil in my heart would instantly overwhelm the little bit of kindness I had left from back then. I would want Victoria dead. A dead person is the safest. The hallway was quiet. Victoria didn't seem to have noticed us. When I came out of the doctor's office with my wife after the fetal heart monitoring, Victoria was long gone from the hallway. How was Victoria now? What about the rest of the Hayes family and the Moores? I no longer cared about those people or those matters. I hadn't annihilated them back then. The rest was up to their own fate. I didn't let the incident linger in my mind. Now I just wanted to live my own life well, to be a good husband and a good father.